Right now, as you are watching this, a monster is forming. A winter storm so massive that weather models are showing 2 feet of snow in places that rarely see flakes. And the ice? We are talking about 3 inches of freezing rain that could paralyze the Deep South for weeks. But here is what nobody is telling you about this storm. The models keep shifting north, which means if you think you are safe because you live in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, or even New York, you might want to keep watching. Because in the next 30 seconds, I am going to show you exactly who is in the danger zone and when you need to prepare. The European model just updated, and what it is showing is frankly terrifying. We have got a setup that meteorologists call a perfect storm scenario. An Arctic high-pressure system sitting over the northern plains and Great Lakes, acting like a wall, forcing everything south. But that wall is not holding as strong as it was yesterday. Here is your first reward for watching. By Friday night, snowfall begins developing across Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Arkansas, and parts of Mississippi, Tennessee, and Alabama. But the snow is not the biggest threat, not even close. The ice is coming. We are looking at a catastrophic ice event. 1 to 2 inches of ice across massive portions of Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. Some areas, and I cannot believe I am saying this, some areas are showing 3 or more inches of freezing rain on the models right now. 3 inches. Do you know what that does to power lines, to trees, to roads? Let me put this in perspective. A 1/4 inch of ice can snap tree branches. 1/2 inch brings down power lines. 1 inch of ice? That is game over for infrastructure. We are talking about weeks without power in some areas, not days, weeks. But something strange is happening with this storm, something the models did not predict 48 hours ago. It is moving north faster than expected. Saturday afternoon arrives and we see moderate to heavy snowfall continuing across Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas, and Tennessee. Northern Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia get hammered. But look what happens next. This is where it gets interesting. The freezing rain intensifies across Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia. Roads become ice rinks. But simultaneously, as we push towards Saturday night, snowfall starts firing up for Kentucky, Virginia, and North Carolina. Heavy snow. The kind that buries cars and shuts down highways. Now here's the question everyone is asking. Will this storm stay south or will it climb north and affect the mid-Atlantic and northeast? Because if it climbs north, we are talking about a completely different ballgame. Philadelphia, New York City, Boston, all of you could be looking at significant snowfall. The answer is in the jet stream. And right now, the jet stream is doing something unusual. Let me explain what is happening aloft because this determines everything. We have got Arctic air, real deal Arctic air, plunging south. By Thursday and Friday, we are looking at temperatures 25 to 35 degrees below normal across massive sections of the country. Those magenta areas on the temperature maps, that is not just cold, that is dangerous, life-threatening cold. This Arctic air mass is so intense that it is creating the perfect environment for snow. Lots of snow. But here is where the battle begins. Sunday afternoon, a low-pressure system develops offshore. Now this is the million-dollar question. Does this low slide horizontally along the coast or does it climb vertically up the eastern seaboard? Because that decision, that one movement, determines who gets buried in snow and who gets a wintry mix. The horizontal path keeps the heavy snow from Texas through the Carolinas and Virginia. The vertical path, that brings the heavy snow into Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, and southern New England. And right now, the most recent European model is showing, wait for it, the vertical path. But I am skeptical. Let me tell you why. We have got a strong high-pressure system directly to the north. Our wind flow is generally horizontal. Both of those factors suggest the easier path, the path of least resistance, is horizontal. But, and this is a big but, that does not guarantee it will not go vertical. Weather has a funny way of surprising us. Let me show you what happens if it goes vertical. The latest European model shows the low climbing more vertically, and suddenly we get mixing in North Carolina and Virginia. Rain mixing with snow, sleet, freezing rain, all the nasty stuff. But the heavier snowfall, that shifts into Pennsylvania and New Jersey. We even see significant snow pushing into New York and southern New England as this major low crosses right nearby. Now, at the 3-minute, 20-second mark, I am going to reveal the exact snowfall totals the models are predicting. Some of you are going to see numbers you have never seen in your lifetime for your area. But first, you need to understand the ice situation, because for millions of people, Ice is the real emergency here. Freezing rain versus sleet. Do you know the difference? You should, because one is annoying and one is catastrophic. Sleet is frozen raindrops. They bounce. They accumulate. They make things slippery. But they do not coat everything in a thick shell of ice. Freezing rain? That is liquid rain that freezes on contact with surfaces. It coats everything. Power lines get heavier and heavier until they snap. Tree branches accumulate so much weight they crack and fall. Roads become pure ice, impossible to treat, impossible to drive on. The Deep South is staring down the barrel of potentially 3 inches of freezing rain. I cannot emphasize enough how catastrophic that is. This would shut down the entire region. Airports closed, interstate highways impassable, millions without power, potentially for weeks in freezing temperatures. Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, you need to prepare now, not tomorrow, now. Water, non-perishable food, batteries, flashlights, a way to heat your home without electricity. This is not an exaggeration. This is emergency preparedness. But let us talk about the snow, because the snow totals are absolutely gargantuan. The European model is showing, and I am reading this directly from the latest run, widespread snowfall totals of 1 to 2 feet across the Four Corners states, the southern and central plains, the lower Midwest, and into the lower Mid-Atlantic. We are talking about areas that rarely see significant snow getting buried. But it does not stop there. The Ohio Valley, Mid-Atlantic, and southern Northeast are all showing pink on the snowfall maps. Pink means a foot or more. Those pastel blue areas, we are talking multiple feet, 2 feet, maybe more in some locations. The GFS model, which has consistently been the furthest south model, just made a correction. It shifted north, and now it is showing a thinner band of heavy snowfall, but more intense, especially on the eastern side. We are talking about not just 1 foot, but potentially 2 feet for areas close to the Appalachian Mountain Range and between the Virginia and North Carolina border. 2 feet of snow. In areas where a 6-inch snowfall is considered a major event, here is what nobody is talking about. After this storm passes, we do not warm up. The Arctic air stays locked in place through the end of the month, which means another system is coming right behind this one. The models are showing another clipper system rolling through, bringing more mid-Atlantic and northeast snowfall. Then, as we push into early February, another cool down moves in with yet another low-pressure system. We are looking at another mid-Atlantic, Ohio Valley, and northeast snow system. This one actually develops into a pretty massive offshore low. We are entering a pattern, a sustained, relentless winter pattern that we have not seen in years. Let me walk you through the timeline step by step, because timing is everything with this storm. Today and tomorrow, bitterly cold. Bundle up. Wind chills will be dangerous. Wednesday evening, our weather pattern starts to shift. A clipper brings some snow showers to the northern plains and Midwest. The Great Lakes and Northeast see some action too. Down south, thunderstorms and showery activity develop. That is the warm, moist air that is going to feed this monster storm. Thursday, it gets colder again. Arctic air mass pushes further and further south. This is the setup phase, the calm before the storm. Friday, the pieces come together. Arctic high over the northern plains and Great Lakes, holding everything south. But remember, this is already trending slightly north and slower than earlier models showed. If this system holds on a little bit longer, we get more upward action. That brings the Ohio Valley, Mid-Atlantic, and maybe even the Northeast into play. Friday night, it begins. Snowfall develops for Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Arkansas, parts of Mississippi, Tennessee, and Alabama. Ice begins accumulating across a massive area. If you live in these regions, Friday night is your last chance to prepare. Stores will be packed. Roads will start getting dangerous. Do not wait. Saturday afternoon, the storm is in full force, moderate to heavy snow from Texas through Tennessee. That freezing rain is going relentless across the Deep South. Power outages begin. Travel becomes impossible. Saturday night into Sunday, this is when the northern areas get hit. Kentucky, Virginia, North Carolina see heavy snowfall developing, very heavy. If this scenario plays out exactly as modeled, these areas are going to see a whole lot of snow. Sunday afternoon, decision time. Does the offshore low go horizontal or vertical? This determines everything for the coastal areas and the Northeast. Right now, the latest models lean vertical, but I have got two reasons to be skeptical, and we are watching this closely. Monday, the main storm pushes offshore, but we are not done. Another system follows close behind. What does this mean for you? Let me break it down by region. Deep south, Texas to Georgia. You are in the ice zone. This is your primary threat. 3 inches of ice in some areas. Catastrophic power outages likely. Prepare for extended periods without electricity. Stock up now, fill bathtubs with water, charge everything, get cash from ATMs. Assume you will be without power for at least a week, possibly longer. Tennessee, Kentucky, Arkansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, Kansas. You are in the mixed zone. Heavy snow and ice. Snowfall totals of 6 inches to over a foot combined with ice accumulation. Roads will be impassable. Plan to stay home from Saturday morning through at least Monday. Virginia, North Carolina, West Virginia. You are in the heavy snow zone. 1 to 2 feet possible, especially in higher elevations and near the Appalachian Mountains. This is a crippling snowfall for your region. Prepare accordingly. Mid-Atlantic, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland, Delaware. This is where uncertainty remains highest. If the storm tracks horizontal, you might see mixing and less snow. If it tracks vertical, you could see a foot or more. Keep watching the updates. This could go either way. Northeast, New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts. Similar situation. The vertical track brings you into the game with significant snowfall. The horizontal track keeps you mostly out of it with just some lighter snow. But here is the thing. Even the horizontal track gives you snow from the follow-up systems. And here is something critical that affects everyone. This is not just one storm. This is a pattern change. We are entering a sustained period of Arctic air and storm systems. Multiple hits, one after another. Through the end of January and into early February, the total precipitation maps tell the story. 1 to 2 inches of liquid equivalent from this single storm across vast areas. That is massive. That is the kind of precipitation that, when it falls as snow, gives you 1 to 2 feet. When it falls as ice, it is catastrophic. The temperature pattern is relentless. Deep Arctic air, Thursday and Friday. Look at how intense that Arctic air is on the models. Temperatures 25 to 35 degrees below normal Saturday. That magenta coloring stretches from the Rockies to the Atlantic coast. We are talking about highs in the teens and single digits across areas that normally see 40s and 50s this time of year. This Arctic air does not give up. The only exception is right along the coast if that low-pressure system gets close enough. That is when we get what meteorologists call a warm nose. Warmer, milder air works its way in aloft, but it is cold at the surface. That is the recipe for freezing rain and ice. That is the worst-case scenario for coastal areas. For coastal residents, if you want maximum snowfall and not freezing rain, you actually have to hope that low stays a little bit further away. Just a little bit. That puts you in the bullseye of snowfall instead of the mixing zone. The bullseye is typically just outside the mixing area. If this trends just a little further east or a little colder or a little further south, that changes everything for millions of people. Now let me address something important. I am not here to scare you. I am here to inform you. Fear does not help. Preparation helps. Knowledge helps. Understanding what is coming and taking appropriate action helps. So what should you do right now? First, check your emergency supplies. Do you have flashlights, batteries, a battery-powered radio, water, non-perishable food for at least a week, medications, first aid supplies? Second, prepare your home. Do you have a way to heat at least one room without electricity? Do you know where your water shutoff valve is in case pipes freeze? Have you brought in firewood if you have a fireplace? Have you cleared gutters and checked your roof? Third, prepare your vehicles. Full tank of gas, ice scraper, blankets, snacks, water, jumper cables, phone charger, kitty litter, or sand for traction. You might get stranded. Be ready. Fourth, make a communication plan. How will you contact family if power and cell service go out? Who needs checking on? Elderly neighbors? Family members with medical needs? Fifth, charge everything now. Phones, tablets, laptops, power banks, charge them all fully and keep them charged leading up to this storm. The models are in remarkable agreement on one thing. This is going to be a major impactful winter storm. The exact track, the exact snowfall totals, those details are still being worked out, but the overall message is clear. A significant, dangerous winter storm is coming this weekend. We continue monitoring the models. The European model just ran. The GFS model just ran. The Canadian model is coming. Every 6 hours, we get new data. Every 6 hours, the picture becomes a little clearer, and I will be here updating you every step of the way. After this storm passes, we do not get a break. Another Clipper system rolls through, bringing more mid-Atlantic and northeast snow. We remain cold through the end of the month. Then we see another cool down moving in right as another low develops. Another mid-Atlantic, Ohio Valley, and northeast snow system in early February. This one transpires into a pretty massive offshore low. We are adding snowfall on top of snowfall. Storm after storm. This is what a pattern looks like. This is what happens when the jet stream locks into a configuration and stays there. For snow lovers, this is the pattern you have been waiting for. For everyone else, this is the pattern that tests your preparation and resilience. The western United States is not left out either. After being in a dry patch recently, more activity develops. Storm systems moving in from the Pacific. Precipitation returns to California, Oregon, Washington. The drought relief continues. But the focus, the main event, is this deep south and east coast winter storm. The models show it. The pattern supports it. The Arctic air is in place. All the ingredients are coming together. As we close in on Friday, watch for updates from the National Weather Service. Winter storm watches will likely be posted Wednesday or Thursday. Those will transition to winter storm warnings as we get closer. Some areas might see blizzard warnings if wind becomes a major factor. Ice storm warnings are almost certain for parts of the Deep South. Pay attention to those warnings. They are not issued lightly. When the National Weather Service issues an ice storm warning, they are telling you that catastrophic ice accumulation is expected. That is your signal to complete all preparations immediately. One more thing I need to mention. This storm has the potential to be historic for some locations. When you see models consistently showing 2 feet of snow in areas that rarely see significant snow, that is historic. When you see 3 inches of ice predicted, that is historic. When you see temperatures 35 degrees below normal, that is historic. We are not talking about a run-of-the-mill winter storm. We are talking about an event that people will remember for years. So here is what happens next. Keep watching for updates. The next 48 hours are critical as models continue to refine the track. Small shifts make huge differences in who sees what. A 50-mile shift in the track can mean the difference between all snow and all ice. Between a foot of snow and a few inches, I will be breaking down every model run, every update, every shift. You will know exactly what is heading your way and when to expect it. But for now, start preparing. Do not wait until Friday. Do not wait until Thursday. Start today. Get your supplies, make your plans, check on your neighbors, especially elderly neighbors who might need help preparing. This is one of those storms where preparation makes all the difference, where knowing what is coming and taking action can prevent tragedy. The monster is forming. It is real. It is coming. But knowledge is power, and you now have the knowledge you need to prepare. Stay tuned for updates. This is going to be a wild weekend, and after this storm passes, we have got more coming. The pattern is locked in. Winter is not done with us yet. Not by a long shot. In my next update, I will have the latest model runs, the refined snowfall totals, and the exact timing for your specific area. You are not going to want to miss that, because when a storm this big is coming, every detail matters. Every hour of timing matters. Every inch of snowfall placement matters. The game is on. The storm is coming. Let us get ready together. But before I let you go, I want to talk about what makes this storm different from others. Because understanding that difference might save your life. Most winter storms, even big ones, follow a predictable pattern. Cold air moves in, a low-pressure system develops, precipitation falls, and then it moves out. We shovel, we salt, we go back to normal within a few days. This storm, this is not that. This storm is being fueled by what meteorologists call a multifaceted setup. We have got the Arctic high to the north acting as a blocking pattern. We have got Gulf moisture feeding in from the south. We have got the jet stream positioned perfectly to allow this system to intensify rapidly. And we have got temperatures so cold that when precipitation falls, it is not going to melt. not for days, maybe not for weeks in some areas. Think about what that means practically. Snow falls Saturday, temperatures stay below freezing Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That snow is not going anywhere. Then another system comes through, more snow on top of the first snow, temperatures still below freezing. Now we are talking about snowpack that lasts into February. For the Deep South, this is unprecedented. Most years, if you get snow in Atlanta or Birmingham or Little Rock, it melts within 48 hours. The sun comes out, temperatures creep above freezing, and it is gone. Not this time. This snow, this ice, it is staying, which means the impacts compound. Day after day after day. Roads that get iced over Saturday, still iced over the following Friday. Power lines that come down Sunday, crews cannot get to them because roads are impassable. And even when they do get there, temperatures are so cold that repairs take twice as long. This is what emergency management officials mean when they talk about cascading failures. One problem creates another problem, which creates another problem. The ice brings down power lines. No power means no heat. No heat in Arctic temperatures means frozen pipes. Frozen pipes mean no water. No water means you cannot flush toilets, cannot wash hands, cannot cook. Suddenly, what started as a winter storm becomes a humanitarian crisis. I am not saying this to panic you. I am saying this so you understand the stakes, so you take this seriously, so you prepare not just for the storm but for the aftermath. Let me give you some numbers that put this in perspective. The ice storm that hit the South in 1994, they called it the ice storm of the century. It caused $4 billion in damage. Knocked out power to millions for weeks. Some rural areas did not get power back for a month. That storm dropped 1 to 2 inches of ice. This storm, we are looking at potentially 3 inches in some areas. That is 50% more ice than the storm of the century. Let that sink in. Or look at the blizzard of 1993, the storm of the century. That dropped 1 to 2 feet of snow from Alabama to Maine. It shut down the entire eastern seaboard. Interstate 95 was closed from Florida to Virginia. Every airport from Atlanta to Boston shut down. That storm is still the benchmark for major winter storms on the East Coast. This storm? We are looking at similar snowfall totals over a similar geographic area, but with the added component of catastrophic ice. This could be worse than 1993. I want to shift gears for a moment and talk about the science behind why this storm is so intense. Because when you understand the mechanics, you understand why meteorologists are taking this so seriously. Arctic air, real Arctic air, does not just mean cold temperatures. It means air that originated over the Arctic Ocean or northern Canada. Air that has been sitting over ice and snow for weeks, getting colder and colder. When that air mass starts moving south, it does not just warm up quickly, it stays intact, pushing all the way to the Gulf Coast. But here is where it gets interesting. That Arctic air is very dense, heavy. It hugs the ground. So when you get a low pressure system trying to move in from the south or west, that low has to ride up and over the Arctic air. It cannot displace it easily. This creates what meteorologists call a frontal boundary. The warm, moist air from the Gulf tries to rise up over the cold, dense Arctic air. As it rises, it cools. The moisture condenses. Precipitation forms. But because the air near the surface is so cold, that precipitation freezes. Hence, ice storm. The intensity of the precipitation depends on how much moisture is available and how fast the air is rising. In this case, we have got abundant Gulf moisture and strong lift. That is the recipe for heavy precipitation rates. When you combine heavy precipitation rates with temperatures below freezing, you get prolific snowfall. We are talking 2 to 3 inches per hour in some areas. That is the kind of snow rate that creates whiteout conditions. That makes roads impassable in minutes, not hours. Now, the track of the storm determines who gets snow versus ice versus rain, and this is where the uncertainty comes in. Because we are talking about a difference of 50 to 100 miles determining the precipitation type for millions of people. If the low tracks further south, more areas see pure snow. If it tracks further north, more areas see mixing and ice. If it tracks right along the coast, coastal areas get hammered with a wintry mix, while inland areas get buried in snow. Right now, the models are showing the low developing over Texas and Oklahoma, then tracking northeast toward the Carolinas and Virginia, then potentially turning more north and moving up the coast. But that could change. A wobble of 50 miles east or west changes everything. This is why I keep saying watch the updates. Because between now and Friday, we are going to see model runs adjust and readjust. We are going to see the forecast cone narrow. We are going to get more precise with snowfall totals and ice accumulations. But here is what will not change. Arctic air is coming, a major storm is developing, significant, dangerous winter weather is imminent. Those are facts. The details we are still working on. Let me talk about something that does not get discussed enough in weather forecasts. The human element, the stories behind the statistics. When we say millions could lose power, we are talking about families huddled in one room with a fireplace or space heater trying to stay warm. We are talking about elderly people who cannot generate enough body heat to stay safe in a cold house. We are talking about parents trying to keep babies warm when the heat goes out at 2 a.m. When we say roads will be impassable, we are talking about people who cannot get to work, which means they do not get paid. Small businesses that have to close, losing revenue they cannot afford to lose. Truck drivers stuck on highways, unable to deliver goods, creating supply chain disruptions. When we say 3 inches of ice, we are talking about tree limbs crashing through roofs in the middle of the night, cars crushed under falling branches, power transformers exploding with loud booms that sound like bombs going off. These are not abstract concepts. These are real impacts on real people. And that is why preparation matters so much. I want to spend a moment on something specific for those of you in the Deep South, because many of you have not dealt with a storm like this before. You do not have snowplows on standby. You do not have salt trucks ready to go. Your infrastructure is not built for this. So here is what you need to know. When the National Weather Service issues an ice storm warning for your area, treat it like you would treat a hurricane warning. This is that serious. Move valuable items away from windows in case trees fall. Bring in outdoor furniture. Secure anything that could become a projectile in high winds. Stock up like you are preparing for a hurricane. Water, food, batteries, medications. But also, and this is critical, have a way to stay warm without electricity. A fireplace, a wood stove, a propane heater. Whatever it is, make sure you have fuel for it. Make sure it is working. Test it before the storm hits. If you do not have a way to heat your home without power, you need to identify where you will go if power goes out for an extended period. A friend's house with a fireplace, a hotel that has a generator, a warming center that opens in emergencies. Know your plan B before you need it. For those of you in the snow zone, you know the drill better than the folks down south. But even for you, this is bigger than usual. Make sure you have enough food and supplies to stay home for several days. Do not assume you can just run to the store if you forget something. Once this hits, you are not going anywhere. And for everyone, regardless of where you are, have a plan for communication. Cell towers can go down in ice storms when power goes out. Landlines, if you still have one, are more reliable. Have a battery-powered radio so you can get emergency information, even if internet and TV are down. I mentioned earlier that this is not just one storm, this is a pattern. Let me explain what I mean by that and why it matters. The jet stream, that river of air high in the atmosphere, it tends to get stuck in configurations. When it dips far south like it is doing now, it can stay that way for weeks. Every time a new weather system comes along, it follows that same dipped pattern, which means more cold air, more storms, more winter weather. We saw this happen in February 2021. Remember that? The jet stream dipped south and Texas got hit with a devastating winter storm. Power grids failed. Millions without power in sub-zero temperatures. That was not a one-time event. It was a pattern. And it repeated several times that month. We are looking at a similar setup now. This weekend storm is just the first. The models are already showing another system next week and another one after that, each one following that same dipped jet stream pattern. Each one bringing more Arctic air, more snow, more ice. This is marathon, not a sprint. Pace yourself, conserve resources, be smart about how you use firewood, how you use generator fuel, how you use your supplies, because you might need them for longer than you think. The storm is coming. We are ready. Let us do this.